Hello you guys and welcome back to my channel. It is me, Miska, and today I want to talk to y'all about dating while desperate. Cringe because y'all, I did this. I was so desperate for love and affection. Love. I was so desperate for love and affection. Um and when I say affection, I'm just talking about like having the opposite sex in your life. Like I wasn't thirsty for sex um because I wasn't having sex. It was more so about, I hadn't been in a relationship before. It was just like, wow, I haven't really entertained the opposite sex like that. And I would just really like to be loved or whatnot. So yeah, I dated while desperate, and oh my gosh, the heartache and the turmoil that it caused in within me. It wasn't even outward turmoil. It was like, and when I say outward turmoil, I mean like it wasn't situations I was getting myself in. It wasn't the opposite sex causing wreaking havoc in my life. It was just internal. I was like on the hunt for something, this, affection, so much so that I was trying to get a little morsel of it wherever I could. And when I was finding that, what, I'm looking for something that it's not even out here on the market. Okay. Um I realized, okay, I'm looking for some love that is not even, that I ain't even tapped into yet. And which led me to, which led me to God or whatnot. But yeah, dating while desperate, oh my God, it can be because of desperation forms from so many different things. And I hope I ain't got white stuff in my mouth. Lord, please don't let me have white stuff in my mouth. But desperation forms of from loneliness, which is where mine came from, child. Ooh, I was so lonely moving up here in Ohio from Georgia, and just being away from friends, away from family, starting fresh as an adult. Like I didn't come up here as a teenager in school. Like I was just an adult, just out here, no connection, no community. So I was like extremely lonely, and it really, caused that desire to really be strong in me. And another aspect of how the desperation formed for me was like, I was, how old was I? I was 20 when I moved up here. And so, child, I was supposed to be married by 25. According to my timeline. I was supposed to be married by 25. And so it's like, girl, you're no closer to marriage than you was, you know, yesterday. You got a timeline to attend to. And so where's the guy? Like, you ain't even getting to know nobody. How you gonna be married by 25? So societal pressure, my timeline, what I thought was supposed to be happening in my life at a certain time caused me to, um, also act out of desperation. I would say fear caused me to act out of desperation. Like I wasn't having sex. Um, I was a virgin, and that was like something that I intended to continue in until I got married. And so I was fearful that because, the world is doing things differently, and here I am on an island by myself trying to hold out until marriage. I felt like, child, ain't nobody finna be trying to wait for me to have sex. Like, oh my gosh, this relationship that I want, is it even attainable? Like, is this even something that, you know, I can have, that I can experience, that I will be able to do with how hypersexual everything and everybody is now? Um, like, child, I was scared. I was scared, and um, it definitely caused me to act out of desperation to try to like move, to try to move without God, to move ahead of Him. Because He says, His word says that his plan for me for you is perfect. And he, has great things for each and every one of us. But child, I was like, okay, great things coming to my life right now. And so yeah, I was desperate, and it caused me to act out of desperation. And also, desperation forms from past trauma as well, it could be, that wasn't so for me, but I'm sure for somebody, maybe you just got out of a breakup and you like are a relationship person, so like having the opposite sex in your space and in your life, and you don't really like to sit by yourself. I don't know, the past trauma could come from anywhere, but when these different things come up in our lives and they cause us to act in a way that you know in a way that's not favorable for myself anyway, because child, I was like, oh my gosh, I was really I was out here trying to make moves, okay? I was dating on a date almost every weekend, and it was just horrible. And what I realized is that dating out of desperation is not the thing to do. Of course, you know that, you have head knowledge of that, but until you feeling that stuff, when you feeling that stuff that you're feeling, the loneliness, the rejection, the desperation, the emptiness, the head knowledge of it goes out the window, and it's just like, child, I just need to feel. I just need to feel good. I just need to feel loved. I just need to feel, the desire from that someone else has for me. And still and yet, we feel those things, but they don't sustain, they don't sustain. Just as sure as you get that feel, child, that one gonna wear off, and you're gonna be looking for the next. And so you don't want to date out of desperation. And what I wanted to talk about is like why you don't want to date out of desperation. And I have some points here that I want to touch on. I got my handy dandy notebook because, child, I love an outline. Okay, I need an outline. As much as I wish I could come on here and talk off the cuff, and sometimes I do, actually. Sometimes I do, but I love an outline. And so the first thing that I have here is lowered standards. Child, the way I be cracking myself up. Okay, lower standards, child. Okay. I can't even get it out. Sorry. That laugh was so loud. I'm sorry. Hopefully I'm not in your ear. But when you desperate, I'm just thinking about the times I lowered my standards, because I was like, maybe God is trying to do a new thing, maybe maybe my husband's supposed to be, I don't want to say ugly, but maybe he's supposed to be, not what I want him to be physically, maybe I gotta go get somebody that's I don't know. I don't want to say nothing crazy, but you end up settling. When you lower your standards, you end up settling. You end up, the standard that you had, it just go out the window, is what I'm trying to say. Like, of course, we all have all these things that we see for ourselves and that we want, that we desire. But when you are acting out of desperation, child, all those things go out the window. And you even start to ignore red flags. Like, we get blind to the red flags, child. Red flags just be going up in the air. I need a whistle. Just offenses everywhere, and we don't even see them because we so desperate, and we just want things to be what we want them to be. We want things to be what we want them to be, and we often ignore reality. Child, okay, let me stop. I'm rhyming. But yeah, like, Lowering standards includes settling and accepting things that you would not accept had you been, you know, being patient or not acting out of that desperation. So avoid avoid lowering your standards, avoid settling, avoid, thinking that you gotta accept subpar treatment or, anything less than what you desire because you have this desire that's in you and it's so strong that you just, need something, and so a piece of it will do. Um, and I'm not saying like everything will always be perfect. I don't, desire that. There are some things that we will have to sacrifice. Um, there are some things that we will, have to lay down and hand over to God and just be like, okay, I can live without that thing. I thought I really wanted this. I thought he had to be a lawyer, but him being a teacher is fine, things like that. Like I just don't feel that you have to accept less because or settle because you're desperate. The next thing that I have, hopefully that makes sense. The next thing that I have is over attachment. And so when you are desperate, child, you just be trying to hang on for dear life to any little thing you got because you're going through withdrawal so much so that you just are trying to hang on to dear life. You know it ain't working. You know he ain't your type. You know the list he got ain't what you're gonna look at or hear the rest of your life. You know that something in your spirit just ain't right about this dude, and you still just trying to make it work, trying to force it, and trying to be, a part of their life so much so that you like overdoing it, you being clingy, and want to spend every moment of your time with this person because of the lack that you are experiencing. And so you don't want to be, clingy because who want to be around somebody clingy? People can feel that. Men can feel that, especially we talking about dating and relationships. So yeah, men can feel that. Men can feel when you are insecure about things and or you're too clingy, you're desperate, and they some, I won't say all, but some take advantage of it. They know, oh, she desperate right now. She'll accept any treatment, or she desperate right now. I can get her to pay this bill for me, or they can sense that stuff. And you don't want to be too emotionally available because that's what um dating out of desperation makes you as well. Sometimes you get too emotionally attached and clingy because you don't, want to lose the little piece of hope that you have in this person or whatnot. So yeah, um, lowered standards, over attachment, and poor decision making. That's what my note says here. Poor decision making. Oh, child, I done made so many poor decisions. I'm really feeling the way because, child, this was me. Like, I don't come over here talking about nothing that I have not had to overcome or experience myself. And so, yes, out of desperation, I have made some poor decisions. Um, some listed in this book right here, Confessions of a Serial Dater. For sure, for sure, made poor decisions. From being desperate, and oh my god, oh my god, yeah. So you don't operating without a standard. will cause you to make decisions, to rush and make decisions. You hopping in a relationship with somebody and haven't done your due diligence as it pertains to figuring out who the person is as an individual, and figuring out their values and what they, um, what their integrity is like, and what's their character is, and just wow. um Cohabitation, I wrote down. Yeah, like rushing to live with people. And oh my gosh, I have seen that happen so freaking much. Where girls, you meet this guy off the internet and you shoot a couple texts back and forth. You don't know the whole time this boy up here could be used. Now this is something that I know for sure, like something that I have experienced first. Not me, but I have this girl that I have talked to before. She was talking to this dude, corresponding with him through text and instant message, Facebook Messenger. And she was like, he just was so perfect, and he was saying all the right things. She ended up letting the boy stay with her. Lord have mercy. Sorry, I'm from the South and I'm country. She ended up letting the boy live with her after talking to him and texting with him for a few months. And she was like, whole time she thought that he was using artificial intelligence to like answer her questions or something. But that's how desperate she was. Like, and I'm not laughing at her desperation, because of course I have been there, but I'm laughing at this dude using artificial intelligence to answer this lady's questions. And then she says she gets around him and it's just like, whoa, this is not the guy that I was talking to. But because there were other things that she did not vet out, she wasn't, asking, well, she was asking questions, but she was doing so through text, where text is just that, text. You got to get up in these people's face and see what's really going on. Hear these answers come out of their mouth, and also see their actions align with, what they're saying. And so, yeah, like settling, because she was desperate, oh my gosh, because she was desperate, she was settling for these, AI answers, and had some poor decision making, and rushed into like living with this boy and letting this boy in her, and got a daughter, has a whole daughter. And it's just unfortunate. So yeah, when you make poor decisions, you can also rush into being in a relationship. You can prioritize rushing to being in a relationship. And there's nothing wrong with being in a relationship, but the priority often becomes being in a relationship instead of being in a healthy relationship. And so I feel like I'm gonna keep saying being desperate. Being desperate can cause you to just want to have company, want to be around somebody. It doesn't matter how he's treating me. It doesn't matter, how he's treating me, or what the goals he has, or the trauma that he has, and how it's showing up in this relationship. He's just a warm body that I can be next to. And so bump if this relationship is healthy, bump if this relationship is centered, if God is the center of this relationship. I'm settling and I'm desperate. So I'm making this poor decision to be in this relationship despite the stuff that I'm seeing, despite the red flags. So yeah, lowered standards, over attachment, poor decision making, and attraction to the wrong people. And when I say attraction to the wrong people, I mean, sometimes if you're at a low state, you can attract a predator. Like I said earlier, people can sense desperation. Girl, a guy can sense desperation. He can sense insecurities, and which is why you have the Naziah. I think her name is Harris. The Naziah Harris situation. That guy, seeing she didn't have adults in her life who cared enough about her to protect her. He saw that she was young. She didn't have a father. Her mother was not in her life how she should have been. He saw how the grandma didn't care. He saw how his baby mama, her auntie Shannon, didn't care, and he preyed on that girl's lack of community, lack of headship, lack of leadership, and you can attract the wrong people when you act out of desperation. Not saying Naziah was desperate, but I'm just showing how people, a man can sense that stuff. Men can sense things, and some men will manipulate, will take advantage of the state that you are in. So it is important to not act off of desperation and attract, because it can attract the wrong people. It can attract toxic people. It can attract people who don't mean you well and who are looking just like you desperate. They desperate for their next come up, and so they will use your resources up. They will try to shack up in your house. They will try to take advantage of whatever, your car, driving your car like it's theirs up and down the road. They will take advantage. They will try see what you have, see your state of mind, see what you will allow, and because you desperate, you allowing anything, and they will take advantage. And so yeah, being desperate, you can attract the wrong type of people in your life. The next thing I have is a lack of authenticity. And what I mean by that is when you're desperate, kind of like how I was doing, like, oh my goodness, I was trying to force a connection or force my like, because this guy wasn't I wasn't physically attracted to this guy. And so because in my head, I tried to make it about, okay, maybe God want me to be with somebody who is not as attractive as I want them to be. So I was not being authentic in my like for a person because I was trying to force connection, So yeah, acting out of desperation can make you not non-authentic, and it can make you try to force things when you already know it ain't working. It ain't what you see for yourself. It's not, conducive to your well-being, but you just want somebody around, and so you're being fake. At the end of the day, you being fake. Or also, another angle is because you're desperate, you're pulling out all the stops. You're pulling out all the stops, trying to be this perfect person, trying to show them you're this perfect girl, and they need you in their life. So you're just, performing. Honestly, it's performing and putting on your best show so that, you can have somebody in your life that's inauthentic as well. And manipulation. Let me see. So you're being extra go with the flow, like you're just acting like you're so down for everything and like nothing bothers you. You don't ask hard questions because you don't want to be woken up from your dream. And what I mean by that is, like, you want to be married, but you're so desperate, you won't even ask this guy, hey, do you want to be married too? Because you don't want to run him off. Been there, done that. So yeah, like you're just trying to please people pleasing. You're not being authentic. You're people pleasing. You're, oh my goodness. You're trying to perform. You're losing yourself, and you're being inauthentic in the midst of it all. Another thing is emotional burnout. Now, when you're desperate, I keep saying it, but when you're desperate, you can pour in too much into the relationship too soon. Um, and because I mean, a desperate person, I mean, just oh my gosh, when I think about desperate, um, being desperate, the movie John Q just came to my head, and how desperate that man was to get his son. I think it was the heart transplant that he needed. But just his state, he was not stable. He was not stable, and so imagine a woman that is not stable. She is wanting love so bad, so much so that when she catches a little piece of something that's presenting itself as love, it could not be the real thing. It's just a little piece of something. It's just a little glimmer of hope. She's latching on to that thing so much and trying to make it worth so much more than what it is. You can be emotionally burnt out, and especially if the person you're giving so much so soon because you're desperate, and the guy may not be giving you anything at all. And so you're doing, it's just, you can feel burnt out because you're doing all this work, trying to sustain this thing or trying to make this thing what you want it to be, and you can give too much too soon. Like I stated in another video, like, it's levels to it. It's levels to relationships. And a lot of times we like to, if somebody expresses like for us, we like to give them the key and put, our whole being in their hands. But just because somebody expresses like does not mean that they have entry into the entire mansion. Right now, okay, you like me, you can stay in the foyer area. Okay, we've spent some time together. I'm seeing that your actions are aligning with what you're saying. You can now come and kick it in the living room. You can't put your feet on my coffee table just yet, but you can come and sit on the couch. But we don't always have that discernment. We don't always set those boundaries. And so a lot of times desperation can lead to emotional burnout because we give so much so soon, and it can really sting if you're not getting that in return. And the last thing that I have is fear of ending bad relationships. So when you're desperate, you can hang on to stuff that you know good and well need to come to an end. But because it's like, I ain't got nothing better to do. If I drop this one, I don't have another one to go to sit in my face. So I got to entertain him until the next one come along. Or even like, and I don't even want to joke, about this, but emotionally abusive relationships, physically abusive relationships, mentally abusive relationships. People sometimes the case could be desperation, operating out of desperation, and just don't want to leave that situation because they don't have another. So yeah, it can cause you to not want to end bad relationships. Now, I'm not saying everybody who's in abusive relationships are desperate. That's definitely not what I am saying. But I am saying acting out of desperation can cause you to not want to end bad relationships. So I hope that point is getting across. So yeah, we don't want to act out of desperation. We want to be made whole through Christ before it even comes to another person. You know what I mean? People don't make us whole. God makes us whole. You cannot love, a person, an individual, a man cannot cover up your trauma, cannot cover up anything that is unhealed in your life. A man cannot love away the love of God. A man cannot love, a man's love cannot cover for the love of God, is what I'm saying. And so we have to arrive to situations 100%. You know, we cannot be trying to make people make us whole. It's impossible. And you don't want to act out of desperation, because it's not good, and it can lead to, you'll end up worse off than you were before you got to the situation, if that makes sense. Trying to be in a relationship with somebody while you're desperate, or trying to, seeking love and connection with with another person while you are desperate, can leave you worse off than you were before the interaction became a thing. We gotta figure out, okay, what is this desperation? What's the source of this desperation? What is the source of it? Who do I need to talk to about it? How can I love myself better? How can I, show up for myself right now and not look to another person to be well, with myself? So yes, you don't want to operate out of desperation. Been there, done that again. And it got me nowhere, child. A bunch of wasted time. A bunch of wasted time is what it got me. And again, I was left worse off than I was before. I had spent all the time I spent trying to fix what I thought, trying to fix it the way I thought it needed to be fixed. And again, if you need to know, if you want more in-depth details about my desperation, sorry, I'm distracted my window. But if you want more details about my singleness season that caused me to operate out of desperation and to move before God, please check out my book. MiskaDover.com is where you can find it. Confessions of a Serial Dater. And yeah, don't date out of desperation. I will catch y'all next time. Leave some comments below. Tell me some other things that could happen if we operate out of desperation. I know I didn't catch them all. Help me catch them. And I will catch you guys next time. Peace.